What's up, guys? This is my review of the Holosun 507C micro red dot optic. So the first feature I want to talk about that's really impressive is the battery life. You get up to 100,000 hours of battery from one little 2032 battery, which is mounted under the optic, so you do need to fully remove it in order to change the battery. But given that battery life, you shouldn't have to do that very often. Now on top, you'll see this little panel. This is actually a solar panel, and it is a battery fail-safe. It's a backup power source to the battery. So if the battery is completely dead for some reason and there is sunlight, the reticle will still work and the optic will run completely just off of solar power. So not that useful for everyday stuff, but if you're a prepper or you're using this for some kind of emergency situation, that could be a good selling point for you. I do really like that Holosun is sort of pushing the envelope on this micro solar panel technology. I think that's a really cool feature. Next up, we have 10 daylight brightness settings and 2 night vision settings, which with the actual reticles. So that's awesome, lots of adjustment. Over here on this side, you'll see that there is a little plus and minus. So that is how you manually adjust the brightness, or you can set it to auto, where based on changing lighting conditions, it's going to turn the brightness up and down. Now, I've noticed for me that with the auto setting, it doesn't necessarily get bright enough for daytime use, like outside, but it's a cool feature for a carry gun or anything like that. I just stick to the manual adjustments and I kind of keep it on the setting that I like for whatever I'm doing. So for the reticle itself, we have 3 reticle options, 3 different ones that you can set, and it will stay on that setting. So that's a really big selling point on this compared to competitors like the RMR. The first reticle is a 2 MOA dot. So very tiny, very precise. Now, what does 2 MOA mean? That means that at 100 yards, the dot will cover 2 inches of the target. That's how big it is. Or say at 10 yards, it'll be 1/5 of an inch. So a very tiny, very precise dot. Now, that's good, and a lot of guys preach that you should go for a smaller dot size, but when you're first trying to train yourself, your muscle memory, your presentation to actually pick up that dot just as well as you would your iron sights, it can be difficult with a small dot. So the other reticles that this has is just a 32 MOA circle. So that's a very big circle. At 100 yards, that would be 32 inches. It would pretty much cover the whole target. And then the coolest reticle option that it has is the 32 MOA circle with the 2 MOA dot in the middle. It looks almost identical to an EOTech holographic sight style reticle. That one's really cool, and I will show you these in a second, but it's very fast to pick up. I think for a carry gun, anything close range where speed is paramount, that reticle option is going to be really awesome. Now, another great thing about this, going back to the battery life, is that it has what they call shake awake technology. So basically, if your gun is sitting, or the optic is sitting, and there's 0 movement, I mean like 0, not, that's movement, but if it's in the safe, it's on the nightstand, whatever, for I think it's 10 minutes, then it will turn itself off. Now, the way that it shakes awake is not a shake. It's literally, I could just move the table or touch the gun or touch the optic or put my hand on it, and it's going to turn the reticle back on. So that helps just preserve the battery life. It's a really cool feature. You never need to worry, is it on, is it off? Yeah, that pretty much handles that. Now, the last feature I want to talk about is the mounting of this. Right now I have it on a Glock MOS, which you can mount pretty much anything on, but the Holosun shares the exact same mounting footprint as the Trijicon RMR. Now the RMR generally being the standard of micro red dots and probably the most common. A lot of slides, custom slides, and guns that you may already have are pre-cut for the RMR because that's the most common. So Holosun was smart and they made their mounting setup identical. So if your gun fits an RMR or is cut for an RMR, the Holosun is going to fit in exactly the same way. Next up, I want to show you some shooting footage. It was a little bit hard to film, so bear with me, but I am going to show you a couple of the reticles viewed from behind through the reticle so that you can actually see what's going on. And I'm going to show you the 2 MOA dot, and then I'm going to show you the 32 MOA circle with the 2 MOA dot inside of it, so you can get an idea of what they look like. So let's check that out. Cool, so I hope that was helpful for you to see kind of what the reticles look like actually when they're being used. Now, I should note that for the 2 MOA dot in that video, obviously it was weird to film it and it's sort of hard for the camera to pick up such a small dot. It did look very dim and kind of hard to see in the video. When you're actually using it and looking at it with your eye, it's very crisp and it's very bright, despite being so small and precise. So just something to note. Now next, what I want to show you is me shooting. I'm just doing some quicker sort of rapid fire, and I just want you to see that myself, even as a new user, like maybe the same as you, of a micro red dot on a handgun, after not that long, you will find it pretty natural to just track the dot through recoil the same way that you would your iron sights. So let me show you right now what that looks like. Did that look like fun? Because it's a lot of fun to shoot with this. I really enjoy it. Now I kind of want to talk about why you should consider getting a micro red dot like the Holosun 507C over just running standard iron sights. Number one is precision. You will notice at first, before you have a high round count with a setup like this, that it's going to feel a little bit slower because the dot does have a natural sort of floating movement effect just from the natural tremors and the blood flow of our bodies. So as Aaron Cowan at Sage Dynamics puts it, it sort of has a washing machine effect, provided that you're doing everything right. Now, if your grip or something is really bad, it can be really jumpy, and during recoil, it should jump straight up and then come back down, just like it would if you're tracking your iron sights. So where you're really going to notice a big improvement is, at least for me, 25 yards and out. The precision of this is so much better than you can get with iron sights. Now, is that a realistic engagement distance for a handgun? Probably not, but it could be, especially in an active shooter situation or something like that. So it's nice to have that precision. Now, the biggest advantage by far is to be able to threat focus. In a real situation with a dangerous threat in front of you, adrenaline pumping, stress, everything else going on, you are not likely to actually keep your front sight in focus or see your sights at all, because it's just natural to keep all of your attention on the threat. and you could maybe train out of that, but that's likely to happen. So what ends up occurring is that accuracy goes way down. But with this, you are looking through the lens at the target, so you are threat focused the whole time, and the dot just happens to be there where you're looking. That's a really big advantage, and I do think that red dots on handguns are the future. I mean, it's already happening now, sort of the same way that it happened with rifles. I'm sure that the adjustment for a lot of guys back in the day switching from irons to red dots on semi-automatic rifles was a little bit difficult, but now it's standard. I mean, very few guys are running rifles with just iron sights. Now, it is important to have iron sights as a backup, and you may notice that I still have the stock sights, and you're going, well, that's stupid. And you're right. What happened is I got the Holosun in before my suppressor height sights came in, so I just mounted it, started shooting it, sighted it in, did the review. I'll have them in a few days, and I may do a review on the suppressor height sights. But essentially, you do want backup sights that allow you to line up your sights through the window. So obviously they need to be taller than stock sights, so you use suppressor height sights. Because these can fail. Now, from what I've seen, the Holosun is very durable. But in the event that it did go down, it completely failed, it broke, if you got mud all over the lens or something, well, actually, I guess that would block your sight picture too. But the point is that if it broke or it went down, you want a backup. So yeah, for me, this has been really awesome. I wanted to jump into red dots. Now, why should you get the Holosun over a competitor like the RMR? Well, it's about half the price of the RMR. I believe the MSRP on the Holosun 507C is around $300. I found a deal and got it for $250. You should be able to find it for somewhere around $250 to $300. Now the RMR is usually $400 at least for a Type 1, which had some flickering issues and required a few extra parts, or a Type 2 can be all the way up to $600. I mean, I didn't want to spend as much as I spent on my handgun for a red dot, especially since this is my first one and I didn't even know if I would like it. So I kind of took a risk, but I'm really happy with the Holosun. I think it definitely competes with the RMR and the Delta Point Pro, and it has some significant advantages over them, given that it does have the solar backup and those reticle options are just awesome. So if you guys have any questions at all about this, leave them in the comments and I will answer you. I always try and answer comments as quickly as I can. And please like this video and hit that subscribe button. That helps me to stay motivated and keep putting out videos for you guys. So, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.